Okay, so here I am, ready to spin. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. So I have the leader threaded through the hole. I'm ready to start putting a twist into the fiber. Can you see my hands there? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Come on. There we go. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So with my fingers, I am aligning how many fibers get twisted and how much twist they get. And when it is of the consistency I desire, I stop pulling back and it feeds on just like on a fishing reel. Okay, can you kind of see that? Not really. Okay, let me get a little. There we are. So this fiber that I'm spinning is bamboo, and it's really slippery, really slippery. I normally spin wool or silk. I have spun other things: cashmere, yak, alpaca, dog fur, rabbit fur, cotton, flax, yak, musk ox. Geez, I can't think of anything else really exotic. So I learned how to spin in 1988 when we came back from Japan, and I got stationed on Whidbey Island in Washington. The little town that we found a house to rent in was called Coopville, and in town in Coopville they had a spinning and weaving store. So I went in there and I introduced myself and I said I want to learn how to spin and weave, and I took 6 weeks of every Saturday going in and spinning and weaving, and it was wonderful, and I loved the place. And they wanted me to not re-enlist in the Navy and buy their store, but of course that was not what Kurt wanted, and I have always regretted that I didn't do that, because they had a good business going and it was right up my alley, and that would have been good. But that's not the path I took. So anyway, so I've been spinning since '88. I originally learned how to spin and weave from Aunt Jean Kregel, so that'd be Barbara and Tommy's mom. Taught me how to crochet so I would stop chasing her chickens, because she told me I needed to learn how to do something to focus my attention. And she was right. I did need to learn how to do something to focus my attention. I don't know that she knew that that would become such a central thing in my life. I certainly didn't know that, and I've always been glad that she taught me those skills, because they really have become the core of my life. I mean, this is what I do. I make stuff. I sit in my house, or sometimes I take my looms outside, but I'm at my house. I spin, I weave, I knit, I do embroider, I do all that kind of stuff. It's just what I do. I can't make a living at it because no one will pay me a good price for my product, because it's expensive. I mean, if I spin from scratch and then knit something, it takes me a year of my free time. Nobody's going to pay me for a year of my free time. Nobody's going to pay me $500 or $600 for one shawl, and that would only be paying me 5 cents an hour for my labor. The only thing I have found that is truly been able to make money at was dyeing my own yarn. If I buy yarn that's undyed, if I find it at a good price, and I dye it, I can sell it for about 8 times as much as I paid for it, depending on how much it costs. And it's not that much labor. The thing is, dyes are toxic. It takes a lot of water. We're on a well system and a septic tank. I do not want all that toxic stuff in my septic tank because it's eventually going to go into the groundwater. And since I get my water out of the ground, that doesn't seem like a very good idea to me. So I do dye stuff, but I only do small batches, and I'm really conscientious about how I go about it so I don't contaminate anything. When Tammy brings Ariel every summer, that's one thing she really likes to do is do some dyeing, because just like us, she's on a well and on a septic, and she does not want to do anything that's going to destroy her home environment either. I guess it's better to destroy somebody else's environment. I don't really know. I can't answer that. Natural dyeing is not nearly as toxic as chemical dyeing, but the colors aren't as bright and they're not color fast. They will eventually fade. And that's not what people want. Well, that's not what most people want. Of course, most people want to buy a t-shirt at Walmart for $5 because that's what they think it should be worth. That's another whole story, but don't get me going on that. Anyway, I'm going to talk about spinning. So what I'm doing is I'm slowly adding fiber as I need to. And see, my fingers in front are twisting, or pinching the twist. The twist is right here. And then I slowly open my fingers, and it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, but I slowly open my fingers and I allow the twist to get into the fiber. And that is how I make my yarn consistent, by controlling how much fiber gets twisted. See, I made it too thin there. How much fiber gets twisted and how much twist there is. And it's going to break. Oh, nope, it's not. Okay. And it's the twist that makes the yarn. And that is all that the art of spinning is about, is controlling the twist. That's easy to say. It's kind of like saying that the whole thing about target shooting is that you hit your target. Yeah, that is the point. So this fiber that I bought, this bamboo, was commercially prepared. It was commercially dyed. And I bought it from a lady who has a farm, and as part of her farm income is from dyeing and selling fiber. So I was doing this as part of a international virtual spinning event where people from all around the world, that's my pill alarm going off, please ignore it, where we all spun our own project, and then we calculated how much yarn we spun, and altogether it was, I think it was almost 1 million yards of yarn that was spun in a week by all the different people that participated. I spun about 1,200 yards. That's not very good for someone who is going to try to make their living from spinning. I wish that damn thing was shut off. Anyway, that's not very good for someone who's trying to make their living at spinning. I am not trying to make my living at spinning because I'm just doing it as my passion. Of course, most of those people did not spin lace weight yarn like I am spinning. I am spinning very fine yarn because that's the size yarn I like working with. Let's see, a little history on spinning. The oldest spindle whorls that have been found in archaeological sites, they used to be classified as beads, but they now understand that they're spindle whorls, are about 70,000 years old. Wrap that around in your head. 70,000 years people have been twisting plant fiber or animal hair to make cordage. The art of weaving and basket making is about 25,000 years old. So I guess for, 45,000 years people were making cordage, but I guess they were just tying stuff up with it because they weren't making clothing. Then the archaeologists like to say that everything started in the Middle East, of course. That weaving and spinning started in the Middle East and eventually spread around the world. But many of the tribes in the most remotest parts of the South Pacific or in the middle of Australia or here in North and South America all knew how to spin and weave. The Plains Indians didn't spin and weave. That wasn't part of their culture. But the Mayas and the Aztec spun and wove, and a lot of the tribes that are in North America knew how to make blankets out of rabbit skins and that kind of stuff. Making clothes from cotton, they did that in Central America. The thing about cotton is, though, it's not the warmest stuff when it's wet, so that kind of makes anybody that lived north of, Arkansas, Georgia. Who wants to wear cold cotton when you're going to freeze to death in the wintertime? Nobody. That's why they focused on tanning hides and that kind of stuff. They needed to stay warm. People in Central America or in the northern part of South America, like in the Amazon, they needed to stay cool, so they had a whole different problem to deal with. So this is what I do. If you came and sat with me, I'd be doing this or knitting or something. I sit and watch TV, spin yarn or knit, or I like to cook and bake. Pretty slow lifestyle. I like it. Keeps me happy. Keeps the kids in my family, keeps them warm in the wintertime with hats and gloves and all that kind of stuff. Okay, I see this is almost 13 minutes, so it's time to stop boring you with my spinning talk. Hope you found this interesting. Love ya. Bye-bye.